From the press box, you could spot him right away. The one crouched at the far edge of the line, fingertips brushing the turf like he was testing the pulse of the field. To the crowd, he was just another jersey number. To the offensive tackle staring him down, he was a question that needed answering on every snap. It's a position most fans barely think about. Defensive end, or edge, as the coaches say, isn't about glory dances or headline stats. It's about being the last piece of the wall before daylight opens up for the offense. Out there, on the fringe, you're the thin line between containment and chaos. Long ago, in the black and white days of football film, DEs were blunt instruments, human barricades built to stuff the run. But the game sped up. Quarterbacks became quick-draw artists, and the edge had to evolve. Lawrence Taylor didn't just rush the passer, he rewrote the job description, forcing future generations, T.J. Watt among them, to marry speed with brute force in a way that felt more like art than mechanics. You don't choose this role. The role chooses you. Nature makes the selection. Height to obscure throwing lanes, mass to anchor against double teams, arms like levers, reflexes wired for the blink between snap and chaos. They call them predators in pads for a reason. And if you've ever seen Reggie White lift a 300-pound tackle like folding a chair, or Dwight Freeney spin past a blocker as if the laws of physics were taking the night off, you'd understand why a kid, somewhere in the cheap seats, would decide then and there, I want to be the one holding the edge. Only, from this vantage point, you can see something else too. The quiet before the collision, the micro-adjustments in stance, the calculation behind each twitch. It's not raw instinct alone. It's years of repetition dressed up to look like instinct. And maybe, just maybe, that's the part the highlight reels will never catch. From the stands, the moment that makes everyone rise to their feet is obvious. A quarterback flattened, the ball jarred loose, the defense celebrating like it's the 4th of July. What the cameras miss is everything else. They don't show the 8 snaps before that, when the same edge rusher forced the QB to throw off balance, turned a run into a dead end, or made a wide receiver's route pointless before it even started. It's a strange kind of invisibility. The league's own data, tucked away in quiet columns labeled pressure rate or hurry percentage, tells a different story. A defensive end who lives in the quarterback's face, even without a sack, changes 20, maybe 30% of a game's passing plays. Yet the highlight shows, they cut straight to the guy who actually brought him down. The culture feeds it. Fantasy football points reward sacks, not the unseen sabotage. Media producers need their viral clips, slow-motion hits, chest-beating celebrations, moments you can set to a bass drop. You can't trend on Twitter for forcing a bad throw on 2nd and 7. Ask veterans, and they'll tell you. Cameron Jordan once laughed, "If I set the edge, take on 2 blockers and the linebacker gets the tackle, that's my win. But nobody's giving me a trophy for it." It's the quiet trade-off. Be the reason someone else succeeds and watch the credits skip right past you. Consider last season. One edge rusher topped the NFL in total quarterback pressures, yet didn't sniff a Pro Bowl nod. Meanwhile, another with far fewer disruptions but gaudier sack numbers got the invitation, and the primetime interviews. Same game, different scoreboard. From up here, you start to realize the harshest truth. You can dominate a game without anyone outside the film room knowing your name. And as the next snap lines up, with the crowd hungry for another highlight, the man on the edge adjusts his stance, ready to write another play into the part of the game nobody claps for. The drive turned on a single play, though you wouldn't know it from the highlight package. The broadcast cut to commercial without replaying it once. It was 2nd and 5, the offense dialing up a sweep to the right. From the booth, you could see the guard pulling, the tight end sealing, all the textbook signs of a big gain. But the edge defender didn't bite. His eyes tracked the guard like a hawk shadowing prey, his outside foot dug in like a stake in the ground, his hands locked on the tackle's outside shoulder, steering the whole formation inward. The running back had no choice but to cut inside, straight into a linebacker's arms. 3-yard loss. Containment isn't glamorous, but it's deliberate. A chain of micro-decisions strung together in less than a second. Eyes reading guard, tight end, and ball at once. Feet anchoring to maintain outside leverage. Hands pressing, guiding, corralling the play into the kill zone. If you squinted, it looked a little like a fullback in soccer tracking a winger down the touchline. No flashy slide tackle, just the quiet art of narrowing options until there's nowhere left to go. In slow motion, it's almost balletic, the subtle hip turn, the foot pivot, the push to the shoulder that bends the runner's path. But in real time, it's over before the fans can even sip their beer. The scoreboard won't credit him. The stat sheet will gift the tackle to the linebacker. But in the defensive meeting tomorrow, they'll pause the film, rewind, and nod, because they know. And as the offense trudges back to huddle on 3rd and long, the man on the edge is already resetting his stance. The next play is coming fast, and the quiet work is only just beginning. The stat sheet said he was just another mid-tier defensive end. 4 sacks on the year, no Pro Bowl buzz. What it didn't say was that he was playing in a 3-4 front, swallowing double teams so his linebackers could pad their numbers. From the booth, you could see it clear as day. The edge wasn't a launch pad here. It was a sandbag line. In a 4-3 scheme, he might be screaming off the corner, hunting quarterbacks for highlight reels. But in this defense, he was a human anchor, his job less about glory and more about denying daylight. It's the kind of chess that casual fans never see. The defensive coordinator pulls the strings, sometimes sending blitzes that steal the pass rush away from the edge, sometimes dropping an end into coverage just to confuse a quarterback. To the outside world, it looks like a quiet game. Inside the film room, it's the grind of doing work designed to make someone else's name pop on the ticker. He wasn't the only one. That year's draft class had been full of freak athletes, some now household names with double-digit sacks, others, like him, trapped in systems that made production look pedestrian. College dominance meant nothing once the playbook turned you into a decoy. And then there was the story everyone in the league whispered about. The end who'd been an afterthought in a gap control scheme, labeled average for years. He switched teams, landed in a wide 9 alignment, and exploded for 14 sacks, a Pro Bowl, and a sneaker deal. Same hands, same get-off, just a different map to the quarterback. That's the race no one talks about. You're not just competing against the man across from you, but against your own jersey's playbook, against the politics in the headset. And as the next snap lines up, the man on the edge crouches again, knowing full well this one might be another invisible win. He didn't limp when he walked off the field. He never did. From the sideline, you'd think he was fine. Just another defensive end catching his breath. But the trainers knew. They always knew. League data paints the truth in cold numbers. Nearly 1 in 5 defensive ends will break a bone in a given season. 1 in 10 will tear an ACL, and more than a quarter will suffer a rotator cuff injury before the final whistle in Week 17. Those are just the injuries that make it onto paper. The rest? They live in tape jobs, ice baths, and grimaces hidden under helmets. The damage doesn't retire when they do. Arthritis comes early, nerves go dead in fingers, hips and knees ache on cold mornings. Long after the crowd forgets the last game, the body still keeps score. On game day, there's an art to hiding it. Layers of tape become makeshift armor, braces lock joints into place, cortisone injections numb the truth long enough to survive 4 quarters. Some players learn to reset a shoulder on the sideline like they're popping a tent pole back in place. Why hide it? Because in this world, pain is a vacancy sign. Admit you're hurt, and someone younger, cheaper, and hungrier takes your snaps. Once they do, that seat is rarely yours again. So he keeps the secret. Drives into double teams with a knee that clicks, punches at 300-pound blockers with a wrist that's lost half its grip strength. Every play is a gamble against his own body. Not just to win the down, but to keep the uniform. And as the offense lines up for the next series, he crouches again, eyes locked on the backfield. The pain will have to wait. There's still a job to do. It didn't end under the lights. It ended on a quiet Sunday morning when his phone didn't buzz, when his name wasn't on the depth chart, when the locker that used to be his was already assigned to a rookie. From the outside, retirement looks like freedom. No more hits, no more ice baths, no more 5 a.m. alarms. But the reality is colder. The spotlight switches off overnight, and the income that once measured in 6 or 7 figures per season collapses to something ordinary. The man who once dictated the edge of the field now stands in the middle of a job market where nobody cares about his 40 time. Re-entry into the real world is a rough landing. Some find new footing, coaching on college sidelines, calling games in a TV booth, building businesses with the same grind they brought to the weight room. Others spiral. Bad investments, restless energy, and the absence of that weekly adrenaline hit leave them stranded in a life that feels flat. The numbers tell their own story. A study of former NFL players showed above-average rates of depression, with many admitting they chased danger just to feel alive again. The NFL and NCAA run programs, job training, financial counseling, mental health hotlines, but even those who use them often say they can't fill the gap left by the roar of a crowd or the ritual of strapping on pads. That's the part no one explains to the next generation. The game doesn't just take your body, it takes the version of you that only existed between the lines. And when the gear is packed away for good, the question lingers like a defensive huddle before a crucial snap. Who are you now, without the edge? From the broadcast booth, the camera always follows the ball, the throw, the catch, the celebration. What it doesn't follow are the trench wars happening just outside the frame. To really understand a defensive end, you have to widen the lens. The raw sack total tells you almost nothing. The truth hides in advanced metrics. Pressure rate, run-stop win rate, pass rush win rate. One edge rusher last season posted a 22% pass rush win rate, elite by any standard, yet only 6 sacks. To the stat sheet skimmer, he was average. To the quarterback who spent the afternoon throwing early and off balance, he was a nightmare. Ask his teammates, and you get a different story. Linebackers talk about how he seals the edge so they can roam free. Defensive tackles call him the lid on the defense, holding the outside so they can collapse the middle. Even the opposition will admit it. Quarterbacks fear the ones who never disappear, the guys you feel in your periphery, even when they're not there. Offensive tackles dread the blend of speed and leverage, knowing that one well-timed bend around the corner can detonate the pocket in seconds. In American football culture, the DE isn't just a position, it's an icon. They've been immortalized in films like Any Given Sunday and in Madden ratings that make them near mythical. To the fans, they're the predators on the edge. To their peers, they're the hinges on which games turn. But in the end, even with the numbers, the film, the folklore, there's still a part the public will never fully see. And maybe that's the quiet truth about playing the edge. The most important work happens in the space between the spotlight and the shadows.